online. And also, I've got the chance since the last time to take a look on the projects that you guys submitted. So first of all, I mean I haven't seen all the projects because the evaluation process is a very complicated one. I'm only allowed to see projects from other countries and so on, but the quality is very high, and I would like to congratulate you all on that. On the other hand, I want to say this from the start. Last time, I've made a comment about the use of artificial intelligence on one of the exercises that I've mentioned. There was no harm intended. I didn't want to offend anyone. Was just a reply that got through my mind. So, for whatever you are doing, I believe there is no limitation in using or not using any large language model or artificial intelligence tool. I encourage you to explore whatever you like and be as creative as possible during the session or during this uh, program. Anyway, so I believe we can get into the presentation. We have 1 hour. There are first I need to share my screen, I believe. There are like 27 slides. Hopefully I can make it in this hour. If we'll finish faster, maybe we can go through some questions and maybe some discussions about your projects. Anyway, hopefully you can see my screen. I only have one screen today, so
Yes.
I won't be seeing what you are guys typing. So hopefully Katerina or Georgiana will help me with any questions that you guys would like to drop in the chat during the presentation. It would be nice to have as much interaction as possible. I've also proposed a couple of polls and questions, so hopefully we'll get something out of this session like we did last time. I'm hoping you'll be as engaged as I've seen it last time. So the first thing that I would like to start with is so today is going to be about market readiness, right? So the thing is, you have a product, you have a service, you have an experience for your audience, and you want to go through with it. You want to go and target your audience, and you want to know if the product or the service is ready or not, right? So I would like to ask you a simple question before we get started. And the question is, what worries you most about selling or scaling your offer? So, of course, I'm going to exit full screen and see the reactions. So you can push like if anyone actually paid for your product or service, a heart if you deliver it, and then a smiley face, or I don't know the English word for this type of face. You'll see it in the reactions in Zoom. You are here to find money or a partner, and also if you want to take your product or service abroad. What's the most worry that you have? I can see lots of reactions, but I cannot see my screen in the same time. But what I can see that people are looking for money and partner. Of course, this is one of the objective of this project. And the other concerns that I'm seeing is, will anyone actually pay for whatever we are doing here, right? Thank you so much for your answers. I have a couple of more questions, but I'll have to check them after the registration because it's kind of hard for me to switch between screens here. Anyway, so let's get further. Why market readiness? A great cultural offer that nobody is ready to buy is not actual business. So the thing that the CRE.EU is supporting here is small businesses that are trying to push products, services, or experience into the cultural and creative industries market, or CCI sectors, how some of the people are referring to. And in order to do that, usually people are expecting for the creative stuff or the cultural stuff in Europe to be supported by the government or some NGO. They do not really have a business model behind them, right? So in order to make sure that you are offering something that the audience is appreciating, you want to make sure that people want to buy that right from the start, right? So this is the actual challenge that you guys will need to deal with immediately after you start implementing the project. What are your targeted audience buying from you? And in order to understand or evaluate the maturity of your product or service, there is market readiness level ladder, right? So this is an instrument that helps entrepreneurs or marketers or any initiative to have an understanding on how ready is the product that you want to push into the market to be sold to other people. So there are like 9 levels. This tool or this way of measuring the readiness, the maturity of your product or service comes from the technology readiness level, a tool that was developed in NASA in the 70s, when they wanted to make sure that the services and the products they were buying from the market have a certain level of maturity, right? So if you were buying a jet engine, you wanted to make sure that's not an idea or a concept, right? You can see, so the first layers are stages 1 to 3. You are in the exploration mode, where you have an idea and a concept, right? It's like you have a written plan and you have submitted the plan. You are, of course, here in this exploration area. You have an problem fit stage that it's very unclear if the idea that you guys written in the proposal you've sent to CR.EU is gonna be an actual business plan, right? So it's an untested assumption, we might say. The next level from 4 to 6 is to validate the actual idea and concept that you're having. You need to define an actual offer, to have some kind of price tag on your product or services, and you need to check some real demand signals, right? Maybe somebody is asking, maybe there is some engagement on social media that people need your services. Maybe you can see on a forum or on Reddit that there are some threads related to whatever services, cultural services in our case. There is some kind of demands, and in the same time you have your pilot action running. You have a demo, you have a ready to go, a beta product that you want to launch. As I've seen in the project proposals you've sent so far, there are lots of digitization of artifacts, virtual reality tours. There are lots of digital stuff. So considering there is, of course, in most of the businesses today, the digital component is very important, and you'll see that in a couple of slides forward. But you need to have a pilot to go out and test and check if there is a need in the market immediately after the exploration zone. Between levels 7 and 9, you have sales, right? You have a couple of sales. Your product has been sold a couple of times. You kind of see some feedback. You can kind of get vision about the timing of the sales, if there is seasonality or not, if there are repeatable sales, and you are looking for partners to develop your idea into other countries and maybe in other regions of your country. So it's a very simple instrument, but it is important for you guys to understand where you are from the beginning, because you cannot jump to other levels if you don't burn through the first layers, right? So imagine yourself, and this is I believe this will help grasp the concept better. Imagine that you are learning a new language. First, you are just reading a handbook, or maybe having a mobile application where you're trying yourself and you're reading stuff. It's a little bit hard for you, right? And you are in the first layer between 1 and 4 on the market readiness level, and then you are looking for validation for what you have explored on yourself. And maybe you go to vacation in the country you like, and you order something at the restaurant. Maybe you have make a conversation with some locals, but of course your grammar is not that good, right? So you are looking for the validation, but this is some interaction. You get some feedback from the market, and you are validating the skills that you are getting with the new language. So I'm getting back to the marketing readiness level. When you're between 7 and 9 and you want to scale, you already know the language. You can have an interview. Maybe you are looking for some business partners. You are discussing the terminology in your business, the technical terminology, very well. You can have a contract, so you are scaling. It's easier for you to understand and speak the other language. Hopefully, this makes sense, considering these 3 layers. And in the next slide, things will get a little bit complicated. We'll go through each layer as well. So the first layer is the idea. In the second stage, you're framing the actual problem that you want to address, right? And you need a real audience that can confirm the challenge the problem that you are framing. At the third layer, you have an offer drafted, right? You know the product or the service or the experience. And as I've mentioned before, in your proposal that you've submitted, there is a lot of experience that I've seen, right? So the offer will look something like a parent will pay like €6 for a guided tour in a virtual experience. And then at stage 4, you are looking at the first signal, one real paid demand signals, where people are interesting to pre-book your experience, or to send you an email that they want to buy something. Then based on that demand, you have the pilot run. Is not gonna be perfect. You want to make sure you have a friendly audience. They understand that you are just at the start of your business, and you are collecting as much feedback as possible to improve whatever you are doing. And with that feedback, you are building a repeatable offer, right? You know what they want, you know what's the best experience for your audience, and you continuously work to improve that, to offer a better price, and so on. So I'm having some messages here. Let me check. Yeah, I'm gonna get back. It's not on this chat. Anyway, so the overall goal is at stage 7 to have a steady, repeatable sales, steady flow of repeatable sales, where you are just putting one-time effort, and people are just buying that, and you are looking from the airplane. You are not at the first signal or pilot run, when you are very keen on what one customer is doing. And then at stage 8 and 9, you look to collect data about the partners, about the investments. You are looking to scale across cross border and enter in new markets, right? So it's a little bit more complicated, but just keep in mind the stages of learning a new language, and this is how you measure your market readiness level when you have a new product or service that you want to enter in a new market. And from what I've seen, most of the submissions are innovative, are testing the new markets. There is not much track record that you can find in similar products, right? Of course, this is in creative industry, and it's always important to go through each process, because when there is something new and your audience didn't interact or didn't understand what you're doing, they need to you need to go there with them step by step, right? So the five questions is the five questions you need to answer when you're checking your market readiness. Is the offer really wanted in the market, or I'm just assuming that, right? Because when you are working in a project for a couple of days, weeks, or months, you believe that whatever you are assuming is the actual demand in the market, and you need to validate that somehow. Also, you will look if people are willing to pay, are willing to show up, are they committed to the product that you're offering. Sometimes you or the best way to check the demand is to get an actual payment, but you might want something non-monetary, like the actual time of people. Are they showing up to my event? How long are they staying? How long does it take until somebody pulls out the phone from the pocket and just scrolls on social media, not being interested to what I'm offering? So you might have to look at specific behaviors to understand the demand. The third question is, can you organize or deliver this at scale? It's always dependent the service that you're providing. It's always dependent on you. Can you cover more than a couple of people, more than a group? Considering you are a you are offering guided tours in a city or in a museum. Can you handle more than 100 people? How do you scale, right? And how do you deliver the product or service? And then the fourth question: are you ready for a partner or investment? Of course, you've applied for an investment here at CR.EU, but there is a need for specific documents. There is a need for a business plan. You need to have a partner, and so on. So the question is, are you backable, right? What is the track record that you're having, and how well you are organized? Imagine that you are going to a bank to get a loan, and if you are just getting there by nothing in your hands, you might not get the loan. But if you go there with some paper supporting that you are working somewhere, you have some properties that can back the loan that you are trying to offer, right? You can get the investment. It's pretty much the same thing. And the other question is, can you expand on this idea? Can you get into other markets that can bring you more revenue, and so on? Of course, I can send you you'll get the presentation later, but it is important to have an answer to this question. So further on, we'll look on how to validate the actual offer, and all the ideas in business plans that you have needs to be in one of these categories. You are offering a product, and this is like a thing to keep. It's a book, it's a digital asset, it's a licensed image or a data set of things that you are trying to sell. The other option is an actual service. The services are the guided tours, the workshop. Maybe you are offering consultancy, or you look to digitalize some artifacts, some regions, or some I don't know, historical monuments in the city. So these are services that you are offering. And then again, in more specifically for the cultural and creative industries, you have experience, and there is an increasing demand for this stuff. People want to experience more. So if there is no event in the city, they will not go out. In Galați, the city that I'm coming through this weekend, there is going to be a big feast in the streets. Of course, people will go out. They're going to spend a lot of money on products or services. The last weekend, it didn't happen. So they won't do as much as they will do this weekend. So for experience, we have exhibitions, we have events, we have immersive routes, right? And also membership and other stuff that people want to experience as well. So the most important thing when you're defining your product, service, or experience, you want to make sure that your assumptions are tested and you have evidence to that test. And the thing is, the as an entrepreneur myself, I strongly believe that my ideas are the best, right? But we should be pragmatic about it and think about this as an assumption, right? So an assumption is like schools will pay like €6 per child for a guided tour, right? So it's not much. It's like €6 or $6, whatever, but this is an assumption. So the thing is, we need to somehow uh, find the framework to test this assumption. We can send some emails to the school. We can set up a landing page on a website, or create social media campaign with the banner, posing images with the tour that we're doing, and ask them to pay $6 just to test the idea. Maybe only the number of hearts and likes that we'll receive on the social media might be a small test to get the market interest. And based on these likes and hearts, or whatever they are, if these are payments, right? I mean, today it's very easy to set up a PayPal account and have payments digitally. It's very simple. You can do that with Stripe and other payment processors as well. But if you get the evidence, this is an easy one, right? So you can see that you've asked for 20 schools, but only 7 have replied and asked to book the tour. That's an actual evidence that validates the assumption that you've started. So my question for you now is to put in the chat one thing that must be true for your offer to sell, like an assumption that you actual have, right? And you didn't test it yet. And I've also put it an example here, but you've seen the last slide as well. An international tourist is able to pay €15 for a self-guided tour using AR, and they didn't know or didn't download it before. So I'm gonna wait a couple of minutes, look in the chat, and I'm waiting for your answer, but you will not be able to see my slide. So I'm gonna just go back and forth between my presentation and the Zoom windows here. So then again, what is an assumption you're having about the products, services, or experience that you are trying to sell, right? It can be riskier or maybe not that riskier, but what do you think you need to test? I'll just wait 1 or 2 minutes, and then we'll go further. Okay, so we've already having some answers. Immersing theater. My project is a festival and planned to be organized on a small medium cities. So it's hard to sell to sponsors. I also design a free culture. Okay, so that's an actual experience, Victoria. Thank you for that. The immersive theaters needs to be a little bit more defined, right? It's a good start, but what do you want to? What's the actual experience that you want to sell to an immersive theater? We are always testing the technology before proposing on the market. That's good, Stefania. But then again, you need to define the the product, the service, the technology is best. And I've seen a lot of technical projects. There's gonna be a huge competition in regard to technology, but business it's a little bit different than technology. Of course, technology is a huge component in the business side, but having AR, VR, artificial intelligence, or whatever technical term, and we can go way deeper into technology, it won't sell itself. That's for sure. People that visit the museum in our city wants to share the experience on social network. Okay, Monica, that's an interesting one. Museum and foundations will pay 3,000 for an AI assistant that will help them answer the external question, guide and visitor. All right, this Naomi, this is very well defined. Okay, sounds good. I'm also looking at the time. We're having lots of responses. That's good. I won't have time to go through each and one of them, but thank you for that. I'll go through with the other slides, and hopefully we'll find the responses after we finish. I want to make sure we are in one time as well. Okay, so test your audience, right? How are you able to test your audience? So here you have two sides of the story, right? So you have the great idea, and we've seen some great ideas in the chat room. You have likes and follows on social media. Maybe you have some people opening your emails, the newsletter you're sending, and also you've done some market research, you've sent surveys to check the interest in your product or services. But on the other hand, the actual signals are, of course, the first one is money. How much money are people willing to pay for your product or services? And of course, nowadays you can also do pre-sales. And one interesting example in this area is Elon Musk. Before launching Tesla, he done a pre-sale. He said, if you want to buy this car that I don't even have right now, and the tricky part was that he didn't know when the car was going to be ready, you need to pay upfront $1,000. But if you are organizing an event, if you have festival in or a concert or an event that you are willing to host in 2 or 3 months, that's a pre-sale as well. People are willing to pay, are willing to buy something that they are going to attend in the future, right? So you have the pre-sale, you have the deposit or ticket. The other signal is time. Are people showing up to the pilot? So I'm sending the invitation to the pilot event. Maybe I'm not willing to put some price tag on it, but are people coming? How many people are showing up? If they are showing up, for how long they are staying? The other signal is an actual letter of intent, right? A written commitment from a partner, from a professor, from a friend that he's interesting. If people are putting the effort in writing a letter, a support letter, that's of course another signal. And also you can check data like email subscriptions, sites visits, referrals from other friends, and so on, right? It is important to differentiate between the uh, weak signals in the vanity side and the actual signals on the right side, right? And then I prepared like 5 cheap ways to test the demand for your products or service. The first one is the smoke test. You just have a landing page, and you can check there the uh, click to action, or how many people wanted to buy, how many people subscribe to your newsletter, and so on. In order to have a landing page today, it's very easy. There are lots of services online that allows you to do that. Also with artificial intelligence and agentic AI, you can build a landing page instantly, and you can measure the engagement for that. I remember a couple of years ago, I wanted to start a business in e-commerce. I didn't had any products on stock, but we've launched the website, and the plan was to buy the products from the competition just to see whatever it's working. So this is a smoke test. The second way to test the demand is the pre-sale. You are just selling the tickets or selling the access to your experience, to your event. And if something comes up, of course, you'll have to refund the money. And the question is, if I'm going to sell like 100 or 200 tickets to this event, I'm going to do the event. If it's not going to happen uh, before the deadline, I will refund everybody the money. You need to be very careful about the taxes in your country in this manner, because if there's going to be a couple of months between the date of today and the date of the event, taxes will accrue, and you need to discuss this with your accountant. The other option is to pilot, have a small audience, friendly audience, and get the feedback from that audience. Also, you can do a waiting list, and as I mentioned before, a signed letter of intent from the municipality, from the local university, from the an authority that can help you in this process. And I also prepare a small example for you to understand what I'm talking about. So you are pre-selling 12 euro self-guiding AR tour on Instagram with the Stripe link. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Stripe. Stripe is a payment platform where you can define your products. You can put their pricing, you can set up specific course order offers, you can have packages for experience, services, and products, and so on, and people can just pay with their with the card. There is also an option with link. They don't even have to put in the car number if they already paid before, and they just paid the $12. The pre-sold options will just get the feedback for the tour to the museum. If you have more than 30 people that paid in 10 days, you're gonna do the tour. If nobody's paying, you don't do the tour, and you refund the money to the customers that paid, let's say, for instance. But this is a small example where you can test the demands for your services or product in the market before actually working a lot and implementing products and do the complicated stuff. Of course, you need to be prepared for that, but you're testing the market. After you have the feedback from the market, I need to check the messages here because Georgiana is oh, I have another 20 minutes. After you check the market, you need to evaluate your organizational capacity, right? I'm gonna be able to deliver what I've seen that I'm gonna able to deliver the actual demand from the market, right? And in order to do this, you have to look at six metrics. So the first thing, who is gonna deliver, right? The actual people. Do I have a team? Do they have the skills and time to accommodate 30 people in the museum tour? Who will do the extra work if there's gonna be like maybe another group? What kind of money do I need? What's my cash flow? The pricing covers all the expenses do I have? For how long can I run this business without a group of people or a person, right? And then you look at operations. How can I deliver 10 times more without breaking my business? Do I have digital supports? This is the another metric. How do I keep track of the booking, the payments? What data can I collect on the audience that I'm managing? Can I automate something? Right? It's a lot about automation flows these days. Are there any rights contracts? Or in Europe, of course, you need to be very careful about GDPR, right? What are the private data that I'm collecting from my audience? Usually startups are one or maybe two, three persons businesses. Is not that important to have a governance structure like a board of directors, but it is important to understand who's making the decisions. Do they have mandate for it? Like if you want to have an event in a specific location in a museum, can you do that, right? What's the actual mandate that you need, or the documents that you need in order to have access to that area or to that public somehow. So just to go through each and every one. So first you look at the people, then you look at the money, the finances, the operation, how you can organize yourself in order to scale your business. What are the digital tools that you collect and visualize the actions that you're doing? Make sure you are covered on legal and intellectual property and the governance in terms of decisions and the actions that you're taking. Based on these six metrics, you then put a label on it. You have green, you have amber or yellow, and then red. Green means you are ready, you can deliver more tomorrow with no changes, right? So if you have the digital support, and I've seen most of you, or most of the application I've seen had a very strong digital component, you are green on this part, right? But maybe you have something, you have an area where it's workable, but now you don't have a known constraint that will bite you at scale. And the thing is, most of the people are not very confident about finance. If I'm not getting the money, I will not organize anything, right? So maybe the finance is gonna be amber on your scale, and red is what's gonna break first. Fix before you chase the demand. So this is critical, right? If you are willing to organize any event, you actually need the support of some people. Maybe you can do it by yourself, but you definitely need a team. And if the team is not available, of course you are in the red zone. And then legal and intellectual properties, where are you organizing the event? Do you have all the authorization and documents needed in order to organize the event? So if you don't, if you have it, that's a green one. If you don't, of course you go red. but it is important to find the RAG, red, amber, green, in your six capacity metrics that you are managing, right? So the second question is to uh, label what's red for you, right? When you're gonna start your actual business, when you want to get the actual feedback for your market, right? So an example is red operation. One person, as I've mentioned before, runs every tour. If the demands doubles, we can simply don't deliver that, right? I'm gonna move back to the six capacity that a business needs to look into before going to market. So we have people, finances, operation, digital support, legal support, and governance. And for each of them, we need to associate a color. But the question is, where are you in the red zone for one of these metrics? So please write in the chat to make sure we have an understanding and we'll move forward. Oh, we have a suggestion to find the European alternative. That's nice. Of course, I will look into that. I don't know what's an alternative out of my mind. I know the ones in Romania, but I don't know one for the European market. Mistral, it's an AI from France. Yeah, I know them. I've tested them. They are very good. Not showing much as much in benchmark as I want to see them, but yeah, it's a European AI startup. If we can find the right people to execute parts of our project. All right, Hakan, thank you for your response. You can definitely find partners here. I can see there are more than 174 people. We have a link to an actual service with AI. I'm going to click on it anyway. Trust is language. I don't know what this is. I'm going to check how popular is it. Oh, it is. I'm going to check this later. I don't know. We use Mistral also. Nice. When you have to tackle a large-scale project that must be completed in a short amount of time, you lack necessary operation capacity. So operational capacity, right? It is about the people. IDEN is a Dutch powerhouse and Stripe biggest direct rival. IDEN, let me check that. IDEN fintech platform. Nice. All right, I didn't know. I'm using similar web to check how popular. So they are getting around 3 million visits a day. So yeah, thank you for this recommendation. Indeed, is a very popular platform. Thank you, Mohammed. If you don't know, finding of the technical execution and external fees. All right, people and time. Of course, people. Tide is an Latvian brilliant. Tide is the same service. I don't know what's Tild. Tild is Latvian language. I don't know. People, of course. Fintech. So I'm getting referrals for payment solution. Oh, the slide. I'm reading the messages. Okay, so I'm gonna wait another minute or so. I'm gonna get something to drink and then we'll go through the presentation. There is another 10 minutes left.
No, we haven't explored the legal copyright problems of the contents. I mean, what we do is basically providing attribution. But I think when it comes to digital twins or
Mi senti? Mi senti? Ah, ecco che cazzo era successo, ho capito.
We're having some sound, Katerina.
Well, actually, I can mute you, but please mute your mics.
All right, so we're having a lot of answers here. We also have some screenshots. There is lots of interaction in the chat, but also we can see legal copyright problems. Maybe the answer that we had was from a service provider that was offering that. So we should considering Katerina, giving these people more space to interact, right? But we already have that defined in the program. Okay, thank you so much for the answers. I'll go through with the presentation. There are not so many slides, but of course, the last part is on partnership investments and roadmap, right? So in order to find partners and get funded, I've prepared a list of a checklist, right? The thing is traction, the most important thing that you can put on a table in a partnership or to an investor. Usually the European funding or cascade funding doesn't ask any equity from your side. You just get the money. But if you want to get an investor, if you get traction, demand evidence, that's the biggest thing that impresses anyone. So you could say that I have like 100 1000 email subscribers to these services. I already sold 100 tickets to this event. I have a database of 2000 users that are willing to pay for this new service, and so on, right? So the thing is demand evidence, and then numbers, honest unique economics. What's the actual cost and what's the price per unit? How the cash flow will go and how will that business be sustainable? And you need to prove this with actual numbers, not just I don't know, figures and facts that you've imagined. I'm getting these expenses because I've checked into what's gonna cost me asking for providers. I'm gonna get this much traction because my competitor is getting double than that in a less developed market, and so on, right? They ask what exactly do you need, and what you buy is you need to clarify, and you'll gain trust. Also, have a clear view about your team and who's gonna deliver on what section of your business. Uh, the data room, this is an actual term referring to the digital section of the documents that your business is managing. So you have the registration, the financial, the intellectual property rights, the contracts, maybe invoices from into your customers and clients, right? And the for the cultural funders, impact alongside income, where you define your mission fit. I mean, how does it fit the creative and cultural industries, what you're doing. Also, when you're thinking about moving your service and product cross border, you need to take into account the language. And when I'm saying language, there is not only the translation, it is the cultural framework and how people will understand your product in the new region. Also, you are looking at distribution channels like the platform and the where the new audience is present. Maybe in your country you can easily promote your event on Facebook, but in some other region Facebook is not that popular, so that channel is not available, and you need to dig a little bit to find out how you can get to that audience. And of course, the best channels and the best support for adapting to the language and cultural frame of a new country is to have a partner in that region, a local guide that can understand the market and offer you support when you need it. Of course, there is compliance in regards to the VAT, to the contracts, and what's the legal framework in the region. If you are in the European Union, all the data that you're collecting about your clients is governed by GDPR. But if you are in another region, there might be other rules regarding private data. And also, as we seen earlier in the chat, payment methods also can be different in different region. Maybe sometimes you will need to look at your pricing strategy. The willingness to pay in some regions may be different than what you are experiencing at home. So this is my presentation, but before finishing, I've prepared you a roadmap. You'll receive the presentation and the handouts. I will want you to think about what you're doing now, what is your marketing readiness level today, right? Like now, from 1 to 9, and you have the levels in the fifth slide, I believe, and then run on a demand test for the next 30 days. The thing is, what's the red area? So I've seen and anticipated that the red area might be about the capacity. Do you have the capacity to implement whatever you're doing? So how to fix the risk that you identify in red, and we've gone through that. And also for the next 90 days, you should think about, and you are somehow constrained to build a data room. How much information you can collect in a folder on your computer, or maybe in Dropbox or Drive, or maybe in a European alternative or of document management, of course, to collect as much data about your service, about your product, and to have a well-structured that to submit your project proposal. So this is an example about that. You'll receive this in the presentation as well. And I will not go through the last exercise. You can do it all by yourself. If we have question, we can go through that. But this is my presentation for today. Thank you so much for your attendance, and please let me know if you have a question. It's almost I'm 1 minute earlier. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Marius, for this very insightful presentation and very interesting as well. So yes, let's check if we have any questions. Also in the chat, you can also unmute your microphones and ask us anything you'd like, or you can write us in the chat.
So we can definitely take questions, or if there is somebody that is having a challenge, we can have a couple of, maybe 1 or 2 minutes to discuss that. Thank you as well, Hugo. Thank you, Corolla. Thank you, Jose. Somebody is asking for the final slide. I'm showing the slide here. It's just a recap, a wrap up of the presentation. Just validate your ideas, check somehow the demand focus on the deliverables, the six capacities, and label them with the specific color, right? Look at the numbers and the transactions in the data room. This is what's backing your business idea, and also how easy is to export or expand your business to new markets and find local partners. This project is about bringing the cultural experience, the cultural products and services in new regions. I believe Europe is a stream of creativity and culture that just waits to be brought to new markets. All right, do we have other questions? Yes, you'll get the presentation, Stefania. Yes, Victoria. Thank you, guys. Any idea about the definitive date of the matchmaking? I don't know how to answer that. Maybe Katerina can help.
I have already answered. Yes, new dates are 22 to 25 of June, but you will be informed. Next week registrations will be open, so you will receive information about it.
I just have a question about in the presentation about the part of the attraction. I'm working on a project is professional networking between artists and an institutional structure artistic, and I have made a survey about for I think 300 artists, and I'm planning to make another survey for structure like studios and museum and art institution with 100 structure. Is that a good start for attraction and
Yeah,
or
that's a definitely good example. Thank you, Mohammed, for your input during the session as well. So usually in the marketplaces, you have two sides, right? One side
yes?
it's gonna be always easiest to get, but it's a good start. So if you have the artists, and I believe it is easier to get the artists on the platform, the next step is to help them to have specific profiles, very well documented profiles, looking very nice. And
Mhm.
this is where your effort comes in, right? Because
That's
they
actually what
are
I'm working on. Yeah.
artists, and they are not gonna fill in all the forms, all the information that you have. But when
Mhm.
you have them all aligned and easy to manage, to look, to search through them, you can go to the institution, to the other side, right? So I
Mhm.
have these 300 artists. We are preparing something based on whatever you are researching there, because some artists do some things, others do other things. So you just create packages of 10, 20 artists on specific niches, specific industries, and maybe they want to promote or do an exposition. And with that group, you go to the institution or to the museum or to whatever, but you need to narrow down and be specific when you are going to the institution, because the institutions are hard to get them in the platforms, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you're
So
right.
hopefully this helps you. Of course, you have all the what I'm doing lately a lot is I'm working with ChatGPT and Claude. ChatGPT, they have codecs, right? You
Yeah.
have codecs for desktop, and for Claude you have Claude Code and Claude Cowork.
Mhm.
But codex it's working better. You just look at the institution, what they are looking for, what were the exhibitions that they have done in the past 12 months, right? And
Mhm.
based on that profile, you push in the profiles of the artists, right? How
Yeah.
can I approach them? Give me a draft of email to send to this institution to make sure they jump in. So this is how I would approach that.
Okay. Thank you.
Hopefully that helps. Okay, so there
Yeah.
is Gustavo for a project focused on immersive activation of historic church and converse of using digital twin and audiovisual technology, what would be the key elements needed to demonstrate market readiness and long-term commercial viability? Okay, Gustavo, this is the hard one, right? The most important thing in this kinds of situation is to pilot a specific church. Find your neighborhood church. Find uh, I don't know, an objective that's near to you. I mean, it can be in your neighborhood, but it might be the church that you were going when you were a little child, right? Because you have the audience and you have access to the actual church, and you need to pilot the digital twin of that church and then bring the digital version to the audience. How they're gonna engage with the church, I don't know to answer that question. You'll need to find a way to bring the audience together to do that, but you need to start from something that's very accessible to you. It's a very I don't know, interesting idea. I don't know how to approach it, but I will do a focus group on the actual visitor of that digital twin. Hopefully, this answers your question. And to be commercially to check the viability of the commercial model, you need to maybe with some touristic agency. It's a hard one. I need to answer that. Okay, we have something from Fabio. What if we have already launched a product? In February, we launch a complete Galleria degli, pardon my Italian, Fabio, audio guide I'm getting. We even already made some sales. That's amazing, Fabio. I believe having a proof of what you did so far, it's a definitely is definitely a win here. Just make sure you didn't receive any finance on that from other projects, and you're good to go. I mean, having sales on the platform, that's good. All right. If there are any other questions, I'm here. What does it mean? Didn't receive any fine. What does it mean? Not sure what you're on other European funded project. Usually on this kind of application, you are not allowed to have two sources of finances, one for from CR.EU and from other sources as well. Stefania, my question is similar to the one of Gustavo. What did Gustavo ask? Hopefully it's not the one with the church because it's the hard one. Yeah, the one with the church, but let's see. Our product is a sensor for the SHM of architectural heritage. So, Stefania, what you need to do is find the audience and present them a demo, present them beta version of the product and try to get feedback from that. I don't know what the product is. Okay, so what are the most? Yes, Gustavo, it is, of course, yeah. Paola, what are the most common mistakes you observe when cultural heritage organization assess their market readiness? Well, the common mistake is that they don't assess. Of course, they don't have any method to go out in the market and see somehow. One of the easiest part to assess is maybe, I mean, how do you profile your audience? What are the other things that you're doing? So if you are having an event, a concert or whatever, what are the other concerts in the area that are happening? How many people are attending to that concert? What is the actual price of the ticket and so on? So just start small. And when you have the information, Just create a landing page, as I've mentioned before, with any payment method you want. I'm going to organize this event. I'm going to do this. And see there how many people are visiting the page, how many are subscribing to the newsletter, and so on. And based on that, you can assess the market, but you need to assess. And one other mistake is to be very optimistic about the numbers. When you're starting a new business, you might always think, oh, there's gonna be thousands and thousands of people coming to the concert. It's easy to imagine numbers. It is hard to anchor those numbers in actual facts, right? Hopefully, I response to your question, Paula. Thank you for the question. It was a good one. Okay, we have one from Nikolai. What are the tour operators and we are a tour operator and promote heritage tours. Okay, Nikolai, that's great. And Daniel, hello, I'm from Lemongrass Communication. All right. And Arts and Culture, Barcelona. Nice. I haven't managed to get to Barcelona so far. We have a website here. How do we distinguish between people liking the idea and people showing real buying intent? Showing real buying intent, Daniel, is actually buying the stuff, right? Especially in the cultural innovation markets where budgets often depend by grants and public institutions. That's true, Daniel. So one example that I have in mind is in my hometown, there is an independent theater launched like last year or so. And there are different events on different topics because they want to have an agenda every week. There are different events on different topics. You can go to such a place in your city and test the idea that you want to do. I'm gonna open the website. Not sure what your it's an exposition, right? A VR exposition. Just go through with it and see, and talk with the people that are visiting, discuss with them, get as much feedback as possible. Of course, it's gonna be hard with the budget, but you can go into the details on pricing if you think they are okay to discuss this as well. Okay, we have another question for Esteban. Lots of questions today. When discussing market readiness and
I'm really sorry for interrupting you, but I think this would be our last question actually, because we have to wrap up.
all right. I'm glad to help, and I'm happy to have all this question, Katerina. But let's take this last one. When discussing market readiness and scaling in the cultural heritage sector, how do we balance the need for a standardization, scalable product with the fact that the local factor is critical? Yeah, very good question, Esteban. Adapting to the site-specific culture and context and local stakeholders seems like a major bottleneck for rapid adoption. How do you see this challenge, and how do you approach? What approach would you recommend? So the first approach is to get feedback from the actual market, right? Of course, when we are talking about culture, there are not two regions in Europe that have the exact same culture. Maybe they are similar, but of course they are different. You need to talk with the people there. You need to plan and assess your product and give you slack for adaptation based on what you're gonna do next. So I've been discussing this with the theater that I told you about earlier. So for every region that they are going to, they have specific lines. They want to know the local culture. They want to know how people behave in that region. So when you're building your product, you have your product sheet, right? You need to leave some blank spaces that you need to fill maybe 1 week, 2 weeks before going to that region, but it is important to understand the local factor and to adapt on those specific needs. It really depends on the service or the product, the experience that you're offering, but this can be taken into account. And of course, find the strategic partners that do understand the culture in that regions, and they will definitely help you improve your product. All right, so people want to go. Thank you so much for your attendance. It was great knowing you all. Hopefully, we'll get the chance to see each other again. Good luck with your projects, and hopefully, I will hear about them in the future. Bye. Have a nice one.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you, man.
Thank you.
And stay
Bye-bye.
tuned for
Thank you.
next week's
Bye-bye.
session.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Have a nice
Bye
weekend.
bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.